And there's so much to learn from each other, these different cultures. London, that's one thing I like about the UK. The diverse cultures and diversity of people, different nationalities and different cultures. If you're not open, you will not learn. But when you're open, if you're open, you can learn from your neighbors.
Welcome back, everybody, to Nor Speaks Out. I'm Nor, and this channel is all about ancient African history and diaspora stories. On this episode of Diaspora Stories, I am interviewing the wonderful Auntie Collette, who is going to tell us a little bit about her story when she came from Nigeria to the UK some time ago. So I'll allow Auntie Collette to explain more of that in detail. So if you don't mind, Auntie, can you introduce yourself, tell us when you came to London and where in Nigeria you were from?
Okay, I came to London in February 1989, and I'm from Delta and Bayelsa State. I was born in Brutu, which is part of Delta State, and some of my my tribal parts, some of the parts where my mom parents come from is in Bayelsa State. But cut that long story short, I'm from the Ijaw tribe. It's spelled IJAW.
Okay.
And if you spell it the traditional native ways, IZON. So we're called the Zon people.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where I'm from.
Can you tell us why you made the decision to move to the UK?
First of all, I must say I used to hate that question. It's like people saying, "Why are you here?" Maybe sometimes when you say life back home, but anyway, I'll answer it directly. Yes, we came here because, of course, we just wanted to just experience life in England. Yeah, my children's dad was working in the bank, so we asked the bank for a transfer because they had a branch here. So, yeah, experience life in the UK, give the children that different experience. And Nigeria wasn't as bad as it was. I use the word bad. Or didn't have all the problems it had. Then it wasn't that as challenging as it is now compared to then. So it wasn't like we're running away from this horrible country. The country wasn't that bad then. It was just that sense of, want a different life, want better life for the children and the family. So that's why we came.
Okay. So came 1989. So you've been here 30, my maths isn't great.
About 32 years, I would say.
32 years. Okay. So what were your what were you planning? So wanted to try something different. Did you have any other plan in terms of how long you might stay in the UK, whether or not you might go back for some time?
Actually, we did. We did think, okay, we'll come, stay here, build a home here, then try and build something back in Nigeria where we can go visit, go, on holidays. But then again, when I look back now in hindsight, I realized it was God actually bringing me here. Because I got into church ministry and realized, it was like I was some kind of a missionary.
Okay.
Being sent from, Nigeria over here. Because I remember my bishop is late now, said to me, "Oh, when you go, help such and such a person in their church." But I just thought I was coming for economic reasons. But I think all of that put together. Yes, so that was the plan. Have something there, have a home here.
Yeah.
That was the plan. Yeah.
And then maybe like go back later on in life, maybe when you're retired?
Yeah, maybe go back. Actually, I never actually thought about going back, as in go back to live. I always thought, I just had this idea that when it's very cold in England, I'll just buy a flight ticket and go to Nigeria, run away from the winter. Run away from the winter and go back to Nigeria and just enjoy the sunshine. And then when the winter is over, I'll come back here. But then when you look at it, you find you have fewer months without cold in England.
Yeah.
So I probably would have been spending more of my life back in Nigeria. But then I just thought that plan wasn't that practical.
Can you just go through some of the difficulties that you faced from, let's go begin at 1989 and then see us through?
I think the first difficulty you face here is getting your papers sorted. When I say paper, I mean your status, your immigration status, because whichever status you've come into the country as, you probably have to change it to permanent residency and things like that. So it's that that period of waiting I came to realize you couldn't travel abroad. People did travel. Say, for example, you lost your mother or somebody so close, you could travel, but it was kind of like a complicated process. So because it was complicated, a lot of people did not bother to travel back home to Nigeria or even travel abroad while their papers, their application, I should say, the immigration application was in the Home Office.
Yeah.
Because there was this, I don't know if it's a myth or if it is true, but it's just from what I know, that if you travel, you take some of your special permit, or you take out your passport and travel.
Okay.
When you come back and put the application back in, it's like you have to go back to the end of the queue. When I say queue, there's no physical queue like that, but on their system.
Yeah.
So that was the most, difficult aspect, difficult thing. I think, like any other human being, waiting is not a nice thing.
Yeah.
Waiting is not fun. And
how long was it? Like, what time from when you first came? How long did you have to wait before you could visit family or go on holiday? Or
for me, it was about living here for some years before putting the application in. Everything together took under 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
When you say under 10 years, it sounds not so long, but that's a long time.
No, it is a long time. It's a long time to wait because you're checking the post all the time, thinking, is it coming today? You have to go through this process. It's a long process, which I think, it's not something we don't. Yeah, people who've done it, the process is long. Yeah. Some people had their process. Some people took 15 years, 20 years. And then some people you got to know who were not here legally, it took probably longer until some laws were changed and they were able to, but you just get that culture shock and that surprise. Because you're thinking, I thought we're part of the Commonwealth. Why is it so difficult?
Yeah.
If we're part of the Commonwealth, why is it so difficult? So this is you're coming to court, which not a word many people like, to the empire. And yet you're part of the empire, but not part of the empire. Yeah. It's a huge difficulty. Huge difficulty, and it's such a relief when that letter comes through that you've been granted indefinite leave to remain, and then you apply for the naturalization because you're not born here. People who are born here is a different story when they come back to settle. It's a different thing, but they still have to put an application in and sort out, but if you're not born here, you've come here for work, you have the right to stay, you apply. It's quite a tough waiting process. It's a lot of anxiety, a lot of anxiety and stress. You know, I know some people whose children were affected when the parents applied for their stay to be made permanent. Their children could not go with other children on school holidays.
Oh yeah.
They couldn't go on school holidays like trip to Belgium, France and Belgium. But I think I was blessed. My children were able to, because I was able to. I remember I had to go get the passport from the Home Office for one of my daughters to travel, and then I sent it back when I needed to send it back.
So it was fine. They didn't feel, I guess, or
I think with children it's kind of a bit different, but I think it was hands up, totally honest. It was God's favor. Yeah, I think it was just God's favor. It was God's favor, because when I told other friends that they could do the same, the schools their children attended refused. Their children didn't attend, but my children didn't miss out on those trips, which I believe was God's favor.
Yeah. That's nice. Okay, any other difficulties?
The usual everybody goes through it: racism, prejudice, being sidelined. You've come from Nigeria, having been brought up in schools, to feel that you're learning what is called Queen's English, proper English. But then you get here and you're speaking your proper English, you feel out of place, because people tend to ignore you and sideline you because they don't understand what you're saying. I mean, I had this experience where I was part of the tenant steering group, and I used to attend the meetings and realized people were ignoring me, and I asked somebody, one white guy, he said, "Oh, Colette, you're speaking proper English, but people here at the table are Easterners, and they speak, Eastern English and the London." And I'm thinking,
Cockney.
The Cockney. And I'm thinking, okay. Because I used to think, what's going on? I'm talking is like, or maybe they're looking at me thinking, what's she on about? Speaking the Londoner now. What's she on about? Trying to talk posh. She's black or she's African or something. I don't know what it was. But I had those strange moments, and I thought, is that difficulty of fitting in?
Yeah.
I could use the word, that sense of belonging, but I don't want to use that word, because it's not so much sense of belonging where you're in a secondary school or you're on the school playground, you want to belong with the crowd.
Yeah.
No, it's that sense of that not feeling like you're fitting. You don't feel like you're fitting, and you're thinking, I'm speaking English.
Yeah. I'm
not speaking my language, but because I'm speaking my English with my Nigerian accent, a lot of Londoners don't get the accent.
Yeah.
Sometimes I blame the media for that, because the media is packed with a lot of either Eastern or Northerners speaking, Scottish speaking. You hardly see Africans, but now things have changed.
Yeah.
But then there were very few black people. The few black people on TV then were probably people like Maura Stewart on news, Trevor McDonald's. They spoke very, very posh. Excuse me to use the word. So so you realize, okay, I have an accent, so people don't understand what I'm saying. Like the way we say certain words, the diction, you use I thought, okay, decided, all right. So you have to now think about how to communicate in a way people understand. So, I mean, I chat with friends sometimes and say, life coming here. In as much as it is good, you've come for better life, things are okay and all of that, it was more than now. Then it was very stressful because you had all these things hanging over you, difficulty of your waiting for your immigration status to come through, and then racism, prejudice, being sidelined, not feeling like not fitting in, all of these things hanging over you and in the background of your everyday life and thought, and you having to, it's like navigating through an obstacle course. When you come to think of it, it's like navigating through an obstacle course, you have to do those things.
Okay.
You chat with a lot of people in diaspora, it's the same feeling. Yeah. And the other more difficulty is that you come here, you find out that you have to like start from the bottom of the ladder.
Okay, explain that a bit more.
For example, because you know, one, until your paper comes through, you cannot do certain jobs. Until your paper your application comes through, you cannot apply for work. So there's this period where you can't work, but at the same time you have to leave. You know, so that's where people help, people support, and then you had some money, but I didn't have too much of that problem because the bank was there.
Okay.
So there was accommodation from the bank and all of that. But when the bank job was over, I had to start all of that. I remember working in Wimpy. What they now call Burger King.
Burger King.
It used to be called Wimpy. Wimpy
young
did cleaning job, you know, all those menial jobs.
Yeah.
While you're waiting, legally doing all of that because you could not, you know.
So you couldn't do, like, in Nigeria, you were a teacher.
Yeah.
So you couldn't quickly jump into
teaching?
teaching?
No, I couldn't jump into teaching because two reasons actually. One, I realized the system was different, and I think it's basically down to culture. Because back home in Nigeria, children have respect for adults, and the teacher is an adult. And because they have respect for adults as well as they have respect for their parents, so you find teachers and parents work together to help that child achieve their highest potential. So if the child is not doing well or not behaving properly, parent will cooperate with the teacher. You know, whereas here, the culture is different. It's I don't know if it's individualism. It's a different culture where children have respect here, but here is like respect has to be earned.
As in the teacher's respect?
No, here on the culture in England, here in Britain, it's not one of you're an adult, so I respect you. It's one of adult or no adult. For example, you call me Auntie Collette. A British child or a white person will not call me auntie. I'm not their auntie. It's not part of the culture. You know, it's part of our culture to show respect to adults. So I think it's that cultural issue where I found the difference in the school systems from Nigeria and here are quite different. And I thought, I don't think I can teach here. I may get into trouble. Even though I wasn't that. I was a very good teacher back home. Won an award for being one of the best teachers. But I thought, I think I was put off by people not understanding my accent and sidelining me, and I thought if I go into teaching, I may have the same problem. In as much as I ran away from teaching, God has a sense of humor, I should say, I think. I ended up working for an educational charity that sends practitioners into schools. So all the job, apart from my counseling, all the job I've done, most for many years, over 15 years, is working in schools, primary schools. And I'm thinking, oh dear God, I can't run away from education, can I? But then what I'm trying to verify about accent and all is, in the schools I was working, especially the second school where they had black majority children, they used to laugh at my accent. When I talk, they laugh, and I said, why? Do you laugh at your parents like this? And parents have told me, yes. Children come home and say, oh, my teacher that's not how my teacher says it. Because the system is teaching them this. I mean, it's not that it's bad, right and wrong. It's just the things that Africans and people in diaspora have to navigate through. Yeah.
So adjusting to that.
Adjusting, exactly, to the system, the culture. It's different culture. And that's where, it's like a culture shock. Come over to England and realize, oh no, it's not really as much as I thought. It's like back in Nigeria, the system and the schools, the books we read, the British history, European history, all of that we study. So there's this undertone. There's this undertone that the European or white people are superior to black people. So that undertone is there, in the system. In my household, in a way, I must say, it was different because my parents brought us up to know who we are, our identity, and gave us that confidence and self-esteem that nobody's better than you. You're on equal par with everybody. So in the household where I was brought up, I didn't have this white man is superior to me. But in the system, I mean, you can see that in other African countries. Look at apartheid, Rhodesian government in South Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe. Even the reading, the educational system, it was clearly and blatantly there. Black people there were made to feel inferior. America was the same. Hence we had the Rosa Parks protest on the bus, Dr. Martin Luther King march and all of that. Segregation and all those things. Even in England here, people who came years before us, in the 50s, I think, talked about how they had signs that said no blacks, no dogs, no Irish, those kind of things. So back home in Nigeria, you had that undertone in the system where,
How did that translate then when you came, having that system or the environment where it appears, or to some extent you're conditioned in a way a little bit to believe that white people are superior, British people are superior. When you got here and you were living here,
it was how would I put it? It was.
Did you find that was?
It was culture shock first, in the sense that because growing up in primary school is funny. When I think back now, it's not in my household. My household was different. I grew up so confident of who I am or who I was, so confident, even in my surname, my family name, because my father was kind of prominent. My parents were well known in the community, all of that. But that aside, the system, growing up in school, gets here, I'm thinking, I thought all white people were educated. I thought they all drove cars. And I remember before I came, somebody gave me My Fair Lady to watch.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen it. It's a movie.
Years ago. Yeah.
It's about, cut story short, it's about this professor who had a bet with a mate. Another professor said they'll try and change this girl who sold in the market in the East End of London. She spoke Cockney. make her a lady and teach her how to speak and get rid of the Cockney accent. So somebody gave me that video to watch. Say, you're going to England for the first time. Watch this video. And I watched it and I thought, she's not speaking English. Person said she's speaking English. It's Cockney. I said, what's Cockney? So
The person did the right thing for you. They really.
yeah. If I didn't watch that video, it would have been a different, So I thought, okay. So I had that in my mind, and I said to myself, I'm never going to live in East End of London because I don't want my children speaking like that. It was a joke.
That's hilarious.
So got here, and then the culture shock, and I thought, I thought people in England dressed properly. Maybe it's the colonial influence too. Most of the white people who came to Nigeria were okay. Or maybe I saw all the okay people. They dressed properly in suits, And I got here, saw people in the summer, in the summer here, people really go wild. They just wear shorts, spaghetti sleeves, and go, spaghetti sleeves? And where is spaghetti sleeves? Wear proper clothes. They're half naked.
Oh my days.
And then you saw some black people. So the black people too are half naked. Oh dear. Is this England? Is this England?
Where have I come? Wow.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh dear.
That is hilarious.
It's hilarious, I tell you, so funny. And the other difficulty too is not having the maids. Back home you have maid, you have your auntie next door, somebody, some relative living with you. You're putting them through school because their parents can't afford it. They're putting them through school, so they help you in, to clean the house.
Oh yeah.
I mean, in Nigeria, when I got married, I mean, I was brought up at home too, despite the fact that we had maids and all growing up too. My parents made sure we all learned how to cook and everything. But when I got my own home, had maids, I just got in the kitchen and cooked. When I finished cooking, the dishes were washed, everything. So I didn't do all that stress. So I got here and realized, oh dear, I can't even, do I remember how to operate the Hoover or something like that. So it was so hard. It's like you went to work, you came back home and you started work at home. It's like work never ended. Not finished until you went to bed.
Hey, okay.
It was difficult.
Yeah.
I thought, no, I have to clean, cook, do everything. Oh my Lord, this is too much. It was hard. Yeah.
We talked a little bit about your application for indefinite leave to remain and the length of time you had to wait for all of that. So can you give us your opinion, your views on sort of the Home Office and British policy, immigration policy?
I would say the immigration policy is fair, seems to be fair, but sometimes not fair.
Okay.
In the sense that I know they deal with a lot of people, millions of people, so it's a long wait. It's a long wait. But in the process of waiting, I just wonder if there was something they could do. But anyway, when you look at it, I say it's not fair in the sense that Africans, I will talk about Nigerians and Africans. I don't know much about other black countries, so I don't want to shoot myself in the foot. It's like the immigration playing field is not level. It's not the same level. It's like black people are on a lower level compared to, for example, Europeans that come here and decide to live here. The fees Africans, Nigerians pay for their naturalization is just way too high.
Yeah.
Now, when ours came through in the 90s, it was £150 per person. One per adult, 120 for children.
Okay.
Now it is about £2,000.
Mm.
By the time you add the English test and all of that.
Mm.
And doing the English test is another, I think it's bizarre and ridiculous.
Mm.
We've come from what we call empire state,
Mm.
or empire with British education.
Mm.
And we learn English in Nigeria, for example, because we have so many different languages and dialects in Nigeria. English, we're taught English right from nursery school
Yeah.
to university level and all of that. So you get here, even if I'm speaking, I mean, I'm not talking or speaking English in the London accent, because what we have here, that is the in thing or the accepted way, quote, of speaking, is the London accent.
Mm.
You know, people who speak at Trevor McDonald's, posh talk like the newscasters,
Mm.
you know. But to me, we're speaking proper English. It's just that I have an accent,
Yeah.
you know. For example, I speak something like, we were coming. The London accent will say, we was coming.
Because he was.
We was. Exactly. We laugh at that because that's bad English. That's wrong English. Wrong tenses, and, you know, let's not go into verbs and adverb and all of that.
Mm.
So you find, yet Africans who have come from the Commonwealth will have to take this English test now.
Mm.
And they pay for the English test. I know somebody who was made to go do that, lived here, came here when they were 5, lived here up till they were 38, 37,
Okay.
36, 37, 38, applied for their indefinite. They always travel with their Nigerian passport, decided, oh, let me just get this British passport.
Mm.
Decided to get the British passport, cost them £2,000, and then paid for the English test, paid for English, the ceremony thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even when this person went for the test, the examiner said, why have they sent you here?
Mm.
Your English, you speak better English than I. You know, and this examiner is a white person.
Yeah.
From Europe, one of the European countries. You speak, but your English is better than mine.
Mm.
And when you look at the list of countries, of other black countries, of who exempted from taking the English test,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of Caribbean countries are exempted,
Okay.
including Jamaica.
Mm.
So this person said, but a lot of Jamaicans have their accent,
Mm.
and it just feels like it's just, you know, the playing field is not equal. And the Europeans, where Africans are paying thousands, about £2,000
Yeah.
for naturalization, Europeans are paying maybe, I don't know how much they pay, but I know it's not up to £400.
Yeah.
Probably 200, 300. I'm not sure.
Mm.
So nobody quote me on that. But I know it's not as much.
Yeah.
Way not as much as what Africans have to pay.
Mm.
And the way, you know, to me it's all, I don't know if it's prejudice or it's just plain racism, or I just don't know.
Mm.
Or the system trying to make money, I don't know. But yeah.
So you would say it, because you said it's fair, kind of so in that way, it's unfair because it's not.
Yeah, it's not
the same
level
rule for everybody.
Yeah, it's not simple. But I say it's fair in the sense that you're given the right to apply.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, on the one hand, it's fair that you're given the right to apply, and then if it doesn't go through the first time, you're given the right to appeal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we know the economy here needs foreigners,
Mm.
quote foreigners, because There are more older people than younger people. So the system and the economy here needs foreigners. So foreigners, in a way, you've come for better life. And you think, okay, the system is doing me a favor for being here. But we're doing the system a favor as well. And on top of it, we all pay the same tax and NI contribution. So why then are we treated differently? So that's where I say the system is not fair.
Okay, Auntie, can I take you back a little bit?
Yeah.
When you were speaking about teaching and you deciding to leave teaching in a way, but then teaching kind of called you back. Can you just tell us a little bit about the work you've been doing since you came, how you've, I guess, achieved some of the things you wanted to achieve since you've been here?
Yeah, like I said, it's a teaching didn't call me back in a way. Yeah, maybe teaching, but education called me back.
Okay.
So I decided, okay, because one other difficulty actually I didn't mention, which thank you for that question, is now I've just remembered, is one of the other difficulties was that you found in the 80s when we came, our qualification they were still okay. But got into the 90s, people who came after us, like then. So we had this, even though our the qualifications we came with from Nigeria were okay, they still had a system where they had to check them. Unlike if you came from America, or I don't know, just use America with a degree, I think they'll probably will just check the authenticity of the certificate.
Okay.
But with what do you call it, qualifications from Nigeria, then they had a system like a grid, because I was told they had a grid where they have to put it into the grid and check if it was on par. Does that make sense? If it was same level as for example, you say you have a degree from Nigeria, they put it in the grid and check it in the system here to see if it's the same level as a degree here in England. So that was one difficulty. So you were not sure. There are people who came with their degree in Nigeria, British system of education, which here the system in the 90s, especially in the late 90s, beginning of the 90s, said they were like assessed as ONDs.
OND?
Or ONDs. Is it occupational higher diploma?
Okay.
Yeah, HND. Higher national diploma.
HND, okay.
Yeah, rather than higher national diploma is the level before in education qualification, before the degree.
Okay.
So they were cut that long story short, the system here did not accept the qualifications people brought from Nigeria. That's why you find nurses and doctors, especially from Africa. I don't know about other countries. I think other countries, they do have to do certain assessment exams before they are allowed into the system. So that was another difficulty. So you have to. So what I decided to do was just retrain. I went back to university, did another degree, in social policy and sociology. I did postgraduate diploma in counseling, so I was a professional counselor. But that's now at the background of what I do, because I'm into church ministry work now, and started working.
Okay.
Yeah, worked as a counselor, one-to-one therapy, which I enjoyed very much, and that was what gave me an inroad to part-time, because I was doing part-time work as this school practitioner.
Okay.
As well, because I was a counselor. Even I remember when I went for the interview, I was told that, oh, you're overqualified for this job, but since you have your counseling, I'm sure I thought, I'm back in education, but I was doing it part-time.
Yeah.
So I did my counseling, one-to-one, and did the school work. So I was doing both for jobs and some other consultancy contract work as well.
Nice. So having sort of spoke about a number of the difficulties that you faced since moving to London, can you just tell us who helped you when you came, whether it was other people from the diaspora or British people who were your means of support?
I'll say people from the diaspora, yes, because you ask people how things were. A lot of people from the diaspora, fellow Nigerians, do this, do that. You need a lawyer for this or that you got. But I would say too, being a Christian helped a lot. Having God on your side and prayer. I tell you guys, we all need Jesus Christ. You know, having God helped a lot. People helped, white people. I had a white neighbor, you know. She was wonderful, lovely lady. She was a foster carer. And it's funny, her foster care was a lot. She was cared for. Maybe she understood Black Africans, because she was foster carer for about 3 or 4 boys of the same mom, black children. But she was very good. She was a neighbor, very, very good. And I would say people of all races. And the other thing is too, being open. When you're open, you make friends. In as much as you go, I think we go through, or I should say, we went through difficulties like any other person.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm the only one. It's difficulties that are common or peculiar to migrating. When you leave your country to live in another country, you definitely have to face some kind of difficulties. So Britain is not a bad country. Having said all of that, I'm not saying Britain is bad because I'm here. And I call myself, I'm British. I'm British, I've got dual nationality. I'm a Nigerian and I'm British. So I've got, in a way, I'm happy I've got 2 homes. So yes, I have got a lot of help. God helped. The church was very helpful. Other people in diaspora, good neighbors, friends. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so following on from that then, would you, I'm presuming you would recommend for other African people who maybe might be considering moving to the UK, would you say yes? What advice would you give to anybody thinking about doing that?
I would say yes and no. No, in the sense that I feel for our African countries. You know, brain drain. Brain drain. People are leaving. But at the same time, I would say our countries, like Nigeria, is getting what they deserve. You know, when a system is not working, people will look for where to get better life for their children, for their families.
Yeah.
So I say yes, come, but if you're coming here, just get to know, except you are able to afford the maid, the butler, the cook.
Hey.
Otherwise, be prepared to do it yourself. You know, be prepared to do it yourself. And if you're coming as a couple, husbands, help your wives. You know, help your wives. You're coming as a couple and all of that. So yeah, be humble. Be humble and be prepared to start at the bottom of the ladder. When I say bottom, probably not totally at the very last rung of the ladder, but somewhere lower than where you were before.
Yeah.
But not giving up and knowing that you would progress. You make progress.
Eventually.
So be humble, be open, help one another. Be there for one another. If you're a couple, husband, help your wives. You know.
Husbands, please.
Yeah, please help your wives. The woman, otherwise she goes to work, she comes home, she continues to work. There's no maid here to help her. You have to help her. Work as, you know, as a couple in partnership. Don't just leave everything to the woman. That's me preaching to men.
I like it. They need it, some of them anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so there was a lot of help. Maybe if we didn't get all that help, including, like I said, the fair immigration side, the fair side of the immigration policy. We probably won't be here today. So it wasn't all bad.
Okay.
It's just the usual difficulties that people go through.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then, for other Africans, other Nigerians in diaspora who are here already, been here maybe for some time, what advice would you give to those people? And then I will add on top of that, what advice would you give to parents raising children in a similar situation to yours? What would you say to those? First to the single people too, then also to the parent.
Yeah, first to the people in diaspora. I don't know if I have advice for the people in diaspora, because there are a lot of people in diaspora here who are, highly qualified than myself. Nigerians are gluttons for education. So they got master's degree, master's, PhD, this one, doctors, lawyers. We have Nigerians everywhere here in Britain. In the NHS, in the law system, doctors. We have consultants, we have doctors all over the UK. So I would say probably just so maybe I should be getting advice from them, but from the little I know, I'll just say just be open. Be open, because a lot of Nigerians I know are friendly, but there are some who are not friendly. And I've had one or two East African women say to me, "Oh, you're a Nigerian. I didn't realize Nigerian women are not friendly."
Okay.
But I said, I'm a Nigerian. I know Nigerian women who are friendly, but if you're out there, just be open, be friendly. Sometimes people just want to keep their business to themselves, so they don't like.
That's true.
Yeah, they don't like talking. Yeah, but be open, be friendly, because there's so much. London, England especially. Let me say specifically London is so diverse. My next door neighbor are Muslims from Bangladesh. We're all British, but we learn so much from each other. The children call me auntie. My children call her auntie. We're like family now. We're like family because we're open. And there's so much to learn from each other, these different cultures. London, that's one thing I like about the UK. The diverse cultures and diversity of people, different nationalities and different cultures. If you're not open, you will not learn. But when you're open, if you're open, you can learn from your neighbors. Now I know how to cook the proper curry, from my Bangladeshi neighbors. Lamb curry, my favorite, chapati, all of that. And I learned how to cook from my Caribbean friends as well. I can cook curry goat. Sometimes not as good as they do it. Rice and peas with stewed chicken, oxtail stew, the dumpling. I've done the other time I did fried dumpling and ackee and saltfish, which is very Jamaican. So you find you can learn and expand your menu base and learn different other things in life.
Yeah.
I don't know if is that making sense.
Yeah. Okay. Be open.
Be open. Yeah. Be humble. And with parents, I would say picking on from being open, be yourself as a parent, being open and learning from other cultures. Still, do not forget your identity. Keep your identity. Keep your identity, know who you are. As a Christian, it was helpful for me as a Christian, because racism, prejudice, and all the obstacles you have to navigate through in the everyday life here in England can make you lose your identity. But as a Christian, I learned, or prayerfully, church attendance and teaching, I learned how to know who I am in Christ. And knowing who you are in Christ strengthens your identity. Also reminds me of how I was brought up. My father was was a minister in the church, brought us up in that identity in Christ and in the culture that we had, our tribe, who we are as Ijaw people. So I've come here with my children, brought them up in the culture. They understand the culture very much. I remember somebody was saying to me the other day, an African friend from another, not from Nigeria, another African country, said to me, one thing I'm really impressed about is that you Nigerians or West Africans, let me not use the word you people, you guys is rude. West Africans are very good at bringing their children up in the culture. So my advice to parents is, you as a parent, know your identity, hold on to your identity, do not lose your identity, and bring your children up knowing where they belong or where they come from. Even if they are born here or you brought them here when they were younger, let them still know that this Nigeria is their root. Nigeria is where you were born, and this is the culture in Nigeria, and how to respect where they come from and who they are. So even if they become British and behave in British, because they live here, they become British, they are British. So they will have their British ways of doing things. Yeah. But at the same time, you have put in them the culture of where their parents come from. Yeah.
So find a way to like instill
that culture, instill that, because everybody needs, how would I put it? Everybody needs that foundation, that root where they can just, it's like the root of a tree goes deep into the ground. So your culture and your identity are the roots that keep you firm in life, in whatever challenges you face. So even when you face racism, prejudice, and all of that, you know who you are. You can take it in your stride, in a better stride. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes sense. Perfect sense. Nice. Okay, well, I think we should finish there. Thank you so much, Auntie, for taking your time and allowing me to interview you, and for sharing all of your gems, your knowledge, your experience, your history. We appreciate it. I appreciate it, and I definitely know they do. So thank you so much. That's it for today, guys. This is NorSpeaksOut. And for today, Auntie Collette has spoken, not me this time. And as always, we're asking you, Wahura.
Wahura.
Which means, are you listening?
Are you listening?
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.